We're speaking on the affirmative side. We would agree that the federal minimum wage should be raised to $10 an hour. Companies actually, the amount of people that are gonna be let off or whatnot is only 0.3%. So that's very, very minimal, and that's 500,000 people. We do care about the poor, actually, we do, but the fact of the matter is the proposition is not about poverty, it's about raising the minimum wage to offset inflation and the cost of living. So, that's, I want to clarify that for you guys. So we believe that we should raise the minimum wage to $10 an hour. We did have an affirmative plan for that, January 1st, 2015, index to inflation thereafter, 2016, 17, 18. That's only 3 years, not for forever, so businesses can basically look at their books for 3 more years. I think that is the epitome of business, is to look at books and documents and context and numbers, so it shouldn't be a problem. Living costs have increased while the minimum wage has not, so we should index the cost to inflation. My partner and I don't disagree that many of the people under this federal minimum wage are often disproportionately young, so we don't disagree with our opponents. But most importantly, we should, we do care about the poor, so we realize that many of these people are living under a $40,000 income, so that is why we're trying to raise their minimum wage. We're not talking about the poor, but we're increasing the cost of living. Raising the minimum wage will balance the actual cost of living with the income level. The negatives refuting claim mentions that raising the minimum wage would decrease employment, but actually extensive research states that that's not true. Significant, not to the generalized huge percentage that has been stated. In essence, we are responsible for the hidden labor force. The hidden labor force are not the poor people there. We're talking about the people in food industries and janitorial service and that sort of thing. And the opponents mentioned an EITC, which doesn't seem to really be a good option for the minimum wage because of its very strict standards. The opponents also mention an economic factor where there's such a thing as wage push inflation, where companies have to, is in an inflationary spiral that occurs when wages are increased and businesses are forced to change more of their products and services, and therefore people lose their jobs, they get cut benefits, et cetera. But we don't intrinsically disagree that increasing the minimum wage will have these small effects on the people, but that's 0.03% and 500,000 people. And also, at the ground level, this suggests that a small firm can do a bunch of different things. They can, if they are faced with this problem, they can, for example, respond to an increase in the minimum wage by having the owner pick up more hours and cut back on employees' overtimes. They will find ways to go around that. And therefore, the lesson here is to not really go after the generalizations about what might result from a minimum wage increase within the national. So in conclusion, the economics of minimum wage is basically very complicated, and it's far from obvious what an increase would actually do unless we, thus while increasing the minimum wage is also very, is a divisive issue, we understand that, and it's worth keeping in mind. We do care about the poor. We understand that low wages impact more than just workers. And in conclusion, my partner and I would like to say that the federal minimum wage should increase.